Hello, and welcome again to my podcast, The Rose Flame. My name is Angela Brevitz, and I am just on a journey of sharing my life, my story, and whatever else I may feel led to share. Speaking of which, I will be welcoming guests onto this podcast very soon. I can feel the release on that era or new beginning. I hope that you find yourself in a comfy place, a cozy place, both physically and spiritually. And what I want to talk about today is a subject that probably has been overlooked. Maybe it is more of a fresh revelation, so to speak, but it's something called containment. And we're going to talk about containment of divine feminine energy. And we're also going to talk about containment of divine masculine energy. And we're going to start off with containment of divine feminine energy. I just kind of was waiting to hear what I was sensing. And that's one thing that I don't ever want this podcast to be, is something that is so manufactured that there isn't room for change, growth, just even, simple mistakes. I think that the world, humanity needs the real thing. We don't need some polished version of life. We need the real thing. What does that look like? I think that maybe that's where freedom is. When I can just be me and give you space to be you. And be real. And I think if we were honest, deep down we know when it's not real. We know when someone's not real. We know when something's off. So, once again, I give you permission to be yourself. In fact, there's no one like you. And I will continue to remind you of this because I feel like I'm supposed to. So, with that, we'll get into the topic. So, divine feminine containment. Okay, and when I speak about containment, I'm talking about the containment of divine feminine energy. Okay? If you've never been here before, I will quickly go over the fact that we as individuals, each one of us, have divine masculine, divine feminine, these two energies, which is the wholeness, right, of God, the wholeness of creation. And they need to be healthy. Divine feminine, divine masculine need to be whole, not wounded, but whole. And from that place of these two energies being complete within you and whole and fully expressing themselves in balance, it is what I have come to know as Sophia Christos, or Christos Sophia, which is just feminine, masculine, in balance. So, feminine energy containment is the ability to hold, regulate, and direct feminine energy rather than leaking, collapsing, overgiving, or disassociating from it. It is not suppression, it's self-holding. So, emotional containment is the opposite of emotional flooding. Have you ever had a time when you just cried and your emotions were so overwhelming that all you could do was cry? Or maybe there was a time when you were so angry and you couldn't contain it, right? So, emotional containment means that you feel the emotion fully. Sadness, desire, anger, joy, without acting it out immediately. And this is a key. You pause before oversharing, venting, rescuing, or seeking reassurance. And you can say to yourself, I'm feeling this, and I can stay with it. So, when you have this emotional containment in the feminine sense, your nervous system stays regulated and your emotions move through you, not outward onto others, right? Without containment, your crying needs to be soothed. You dump emotionally on others. You spiral out of control. And you need someone else to hold you. You have energetic boundaries. This is another aspect of divine feminine energy containment in its healthy form. So you have boundaries which allow for you not to leak your energy. You don't chase attention, validation, or closeness. You stop explaining yourself excessively. You don't overextend sexually, emotionally, or spiritually to feel chosen. Energy stays in your body. Your chest is open. Your belly is soft. Your spine is upright. Now, without this containment, you're flirting for safety, giving intimacy to earn worth, spiritually bypassing, and people pleasing. Another quality is receptivity with discernment. So your access is not just open. You allow support without collapsing. You receive compliments without deflecting or clinging. You say yes slowly and no cleanly. In other words, no is a whole sentence. And this is something I feel that is so empowering. You can just say no. You don't have to explain why. You don't have to go into detail. And I think the world has shaped humanity, women and men, to be overgivers in so many ways. So, key distinctions. Feminine containment does not mean that you're closed off. It just means that you're selectively receptive. In other words, you're not just receiving conversation from just anyone. You're not just receiving words from anyone. You're not giving space to receive energy from just anyone. And you don't feel guilty about that. You trust your body to guide you onto who you should be allowing, I guess you could say, in your circle. Without containment, you're just letting anyone into your emotional or sexual field too quickly. Another way that you express divine feminine energy containment is sensual presence without performance. So you inhabit your body without trying to be desired. Your movement is organic, not seductive for approval. Pleasure is self-generated, not transactional. So you're not giving to get. You're not, outsourcing in order to become worthy. What you might notice with sensual presence without performance is slower gestures, deeper breathing, and less urgency to be seen. And let me pause there, because I feel like that we live in a world where people just want to be seen. And when you, first of all, heal your wounds, but then you realize how loved you are, that you are actually the presence of love. You also realize that you're seen always, that you're known deeply. And it can make you feel like the most desired person in the entire world. The beauty of it is that the divine creator feels the same way about every single one of us. But it can feel so personal, and it should. It's the greatest love story we'll ever have, which is the love story with ourselves, God within us. Without containment in the sensual presence, you are performing femininity, sexualizing yourself unconsciously, and using allure to regulate anxiety. Here's a big one. We're going on to the next. Self-mothering instead of external soothing. You comfort yourself before reaching outward. You ask yourself, what do I need right now? And you respond internally. You don't abandon yourself during discomfort. And I want to pause there, because I feel like, and I think especially for women, I really do. When we feel like we need comfort, and I'm not discluding men, it can be men as well, but I really sense and feel that women, or the feminine aspect, is in its wounded state, is very familiar with reaching outside of itself for comfort. And what happens? Well, maybe you feel comforted for a moment, and then that comfort goes away. Maybe because you left the place, or the person is no longer able to be reached, whatever it may be. But what we're doing is a disservice to ourselves, because we're reaching out And the first thing, here's the key, the first thing we should do is to reach in. That's where God is. That's where the Spirit is. That's where the whole entire universe is, the entire creation within us, and all the answers that we may need that will not simultaneously leave us empty in any way. Never deplete us. It will refill, overflow, give us grace, give us hope, give us answers that we need to know, whatever it may be. It has to start with us. And I almost think that society has normalized, well, your discomfort, reach out to someone, vent to them, tell them all about it. Reach out and get comfort, almost like, here, I'm going to give you permission as a society to play victim. And you can never be victorious from the state of victim. But something shifts. Something grand and large shifts when you look within and you comfort yourself. And then you are not selecting these outside connections based on your need. It's a huge thing, and it's a big difference. So when you do these things, this repairs your mother wound. And also anxious, disorganized, or fawn responses. And we talked about that in the last podcast. So it's huge. It's a big key to become the whole person that we really are deep down inside. Without containment, we need constant reassurance. We need guidance, and we need emotional rescue. Another way is capacity to hold desire without urgency. So this looks like you feel a longing without chasing. You can sit in attraction, creativity, grief, or pleasure without needing resolution. Desires become magnetic instead of needy. It's a huge thing because I feel like we as humanity have not been very good at sitting in things that are uncomfortable. We want answers. We need to know. We're not just going to sit there. We're just going to go do. Let's try to erase this feeling. Let me just try to overlook this discomfort if I just keep myself busy, if I just don't think about it. If I numb it, I won't have to deal with it. But here's the truth. Contained feminine energy naturally invites masculine presence. And uncontained feminine energy demands it. So when you can sit with things like desire, longing, attraction, grief, creativity, pleasure, pain, all of these things, you build capacity to receive what you desire and need without seeking or chasing it. You become magnetic, expansive, which is ultimately what love is. You're able to have stillness without collapse. You can rest without guilt. You're grounded even in silence or uncertainty. You don't fill space with talking, fixing, or caretaking. Without containment, you have restlessness, anxiety and stillness, and compulsive doing. Divine feminine containment is not emotional numbness. It is not strong woman syndrome where you suppress. It is not masculine rigidity. It is not avoidance or detachment. It is soft strength. The womb that can hold life, emotion, intuition, and power without spilling. It's powerful, isn't it? So here is an embodiment check. Can I stay with what I'm feeling in my body without outsourcing it? It's huge. It's the key. It's a great question to ask regularly. In fact, if I can be transparent, I started to have this, I call it like the unknown, uncomfortable. What is this feeling? I'm not sure. And I quickly reminded myself that I can sit in this. I don't need to know. It just happened today again. It happens regularly. I feel like when we are in a constant expansion of consciousness and growth, evolution, elevation, we are going to go through these moments, and we kind of graduate these moments when we just sit with it instead of outsourcing it, instead of being overwhelmed. Just understanding that this is a part of growth. This is a part of real life. So, divine feminine containment supports the divine masculine by creating the conditions in which healthy masculine energy can organize, orient, and lead without being forced, parentified, or collapsed into. This is not symbolic. It's nervous system physics. And before we think of like, oh, my partner out there, right? We need to think of our partner in here. The divine feminine and masculine in union. So if you're unable to sit with your emotions, then guess what's going to happen? Then the divine masculine within you is not going to have the support and the conditions that it needs to organize, orient, and lead. So what does this look like? Being stuck. Not being able to build anything. Not being able to move forward through grief or anger or pain. This is why the healthy balance and union of feminine and masculine is a requirement for you to be healthy in every area of your life. The masculine does not thrive in chaos, and the feminine does not thrive in suppression. Containment is how the feminine stays open without spilling. That stability is what allows the masculine to rise into clarity, direction, and devotion. It removes the masculine's need to stabilize emotional overflow. Without feminine containment, feminine emotions spill outward. Masculine energy gets pulled into soothing, fixing, or withdrawing. And the masculine becomes exhausted, avoidant, or controlling. With feminine containment, emotions are felt and held internally. Expression is clean, timed, and grounded. The masculine is not hijacked into regulation. So the masculine responds with relaxing, becoming more present, and has the capacity to lead rather than to manage. Containment tells the masculine, you are not responsible for my emotional survival. It restores polarity, which is balance. Uncontained feminine equals overexpressing, overgiving, overinitiating, chasing clarity or reassurance. And the masculine energy gets passive or reactive. Now, when you're contained, you're receptive, you're expressive, you hold desire, but without urgency, without pressure, without demand. And the masculine response is to move towards you, clarify intentions, and take initiative naturally. Polarity reemerges because space reemerges. It gives the masculine something stable to orient to. The masculine thrives when it can track, protect, and build towards something coherent. Containment provides consistent emotional tone, clear boundaries, and predictable self-regulation. It feels safe to invest for the masculine. They can plan, commit, and protect. The masculine becomes purposeful instead of defensive. And this orients the masculine towards containment the way a compass orients north. It prevents emasculation through emotional demand. So when the feminine energy is leaking, the requests feel like pressure. The needs feel endless. Masculine feels like it's never enough. But with containment, needs are named without demand. Desire is shared without attachment. And space exists for response. So the masculine wants to meet the need, experiences contribution as empowering, and feels chosen and not used. Containment transforms need into invitation. It invites healthy masculine leadership and not dominance. Containment is not submission. Containment is not silence. It means you're speaking from the body, not reactivity. You're allowing space after expression, and you're trusting timing. This gives the masculine energy the ability to step into clarity, to take responsibility willingly, to lead the feminine, but not over her, to lead with her in balance. Leadership arises when there is something worth leading toward. It allows masculine strength to deepen instead of harden. So without containment, masculine energy armors up, becomes rigid or avoidant, and uses control to manage chaos. With containment, masculine can soften without losing strength, can stay open during intensity, and grounded power replaces defense. Feminine containment is what allows masculine strength to stay human. When the feminine holds her emotions, regulates her desire, stays in her body, the masculine nervous system experiences lower threat, higher coherence, and more available energy. This is why contained feminine energy naturally evokes grounded masculine presence in men and in women's own inner masculine. The feminine holds the field. The masculine moves within it. When the field is stable, the movement becomes purposeful. Early on, feminine expression, which is emotion, need, and desire, not being met by masculine containment of presence, protection, and regulation, means that your system would have to adapt. Okay, this is like how you develop your attachment styles as a child. By amplifying, which makes you anxious, suppressing, which makes you avoidant, or oscillating between the two, which makes you disorganized attachment style. Repair happens when the feminine learns to contain and the masculine learns to respond without defense. This is the real healing. The inner feminine repairs by feeling without leaking, expressing without collapsing, and trusting internal safety first. And the inner masculine repairs by holding presence during intensity, regulating instead of controlling, and providing structure without rigidity. Self-soothing replaces self-abandonment. Relationships become choice-based, not survival-based. This creates secure attachment. It is emotion held inside safety. That safety is created when feminine containment supports masculine presence. And you can see clearly, I can see clearly as I go over this, how each one of us internally has a battle or not. And how these two energies in their healthy state within us create a safe space for us to be whole and to grow in our other relationships. And I think that every human being, most human beings, desire a relationship romantically. But what we have to realize is we first have to be whole ourselves. I mean, we already are. We just don't know because of trauma and wounds and unhealthy patterns that have been shaped. So I'm going to go on to the containment of divine masculine. Containment of divine masculine energy is the ability to hold power, desire, direction, and emotion without leaking it through control, aggression, collapse, or avoidance. It is strength with regulation. Divine masculine containment is grounded presence that can act, protect, decide, and hold emotion without needing dominance, withdraw, or validation. Divine masculine energy governs direction and purpose, boundaries and structure, action and follow through, protection and integrity, stillness under pressure. Containment means these forces move through you consciously, not explosively or evasively. So you have emotional containment. You may feel anger, but you don't lash out. You may feel sadness, but you don't collapse or numb. You may feel desire, but you don't pursue impulsively. The inner state is, I can feel this and stay sovereign. You have relational containment. You hold space for another person's emotion without fixing or fleeing. You listen without defensiveness. You set boundaries without punishment. I love this. I hear you, I'm not leaving, and I won't be spoken to that way. I love it. You have decision making. You pause before acting. You choose alignment over urgency. You don't overpromise to soothe anxiety. Containment shows up with fewer words but clearer actions. Calm follow through. And no need to explain excessively. You have sexual and creative containment. You can have desire but not be compulsive. Your sexual energy fuels creativity, leadership, and devotion. Attraction does not equal entitlement. Containment is not repression. It's directed energy, not suppressed energy. You have boundaries in action. You say no without guilt. You hold consistency even when your emotions fluctuate. You don't chase approval or punish withdrawal. Masculine containment says, my presence is steady. My word is reliable. So nervous system signatures that you have masculine containment are, you have weight in the legs, your chest is open, your jaw is relaxed, you have slow, deep breathing. You have the ability to stay during intensity. It's regulated power, not adrenaline. What it is not. So here are some common things that people confuse masculine containment as. Emotional shutdown. But what's actually happening is avoidance. Control or dominance. But what's actually happening is insecurity. Over logic. But what's actually happening is a disconnection from the body. Stoicism without feeling. But what's actually happening is suppression. Aggression. But what's actually happening is dysregulation. So let's tie in the father wound here. A lack of masculine containment often traces to inconsistent or unsafe father figures, punishment for the expression of emotion, and modeling power without regulation. Healing masculine containment means becoming the father your nervous system never had. Uncontained masculine energy destroys or disappears. Contained masculine energy creates and protects. He does not force. He holds. And how does the masculine hold space for the feminine expansion? The feminine expands into safety. The masculine creates the safety. Containment is the cup. Expansion is the water. Expansion requires a container. The womb expands because the pelvis, spine, and musculature hold it. Masculine containment is that holding force, steady, grounded, responsive, but not reactive. No cup equals a spill. No water equals emptiness. Masculine containment holds feminine expression by providing structure, safety, and direction that allows feminine energy to open further without fear of collapse. This is not control. It is presence that does not flinch. Masculine stillness regulates feminine intensity. When feminine energy expands, emotions deepen, sensation increases, expression becomes fluid, nonlinear, and cyclical. So when the masculine is offline and has uncontained responses, it means he interrupts, he fixes, he withdraws, he over-intellectualizes. But masculine containment means he stays physically and emotionally present. His breath remains slow and deep. He does not rush expression to resolution. And the feminine response is the nervous system relaxes, expression deepens, expansion becomes trusting instead of chaotic. Stillness is what tells the feminine, you are safe to go further. Clear structure allows feminine creativity to flow. Without structure, feminine energy disperses, overwhelms self or others, or collapses into anxiety or self-doubt. Masculine containment provides time boundaries, clear agreements, and consistent rhythms. Feminine responds with creativity intensifying, intuition sharpening, and emotional expression becoming coherent. Structure doesn't limit the feminine, it focuses her. Masculine emotional regulation anchors feminine waves. When the feminine is in emotional motion, she needs witnessing, not rescue. Masculine containment, holding eye contact without urgency, reflecting without interpreting, and staying grounded even during tears, anger, or joy. The feminine responds with the emotions moving through fully. No need to escalate or collapse. A trust in the relational field deepens. The feminine expands most when she is not managed. Direction without domination liberates expression. So the uncontained masculine might use control to manage discomfort, set rigid rules, making dominance for leadership. The contained masculine names direction calmly, holds boundaries without force, and invites rather than demands alignment. The feminine can then respond by feeling protected and not constrained. Expression becomes bold and authentic, and sexual and creative energy increases. The feminine opens when she knows the ground won't disappear. I love that. Masculine containment has the capacity to hold uncertainty and allowing deeper unfolding. The feminine unfolds in waves, not straight lines. So masculine containment is tolerating not knowing, holding space during ambiguity, and trusting timing. And the feminine response is that she goes deeper into intuition. She relaxes performance. She allows truth to emerge organically. Rushing clarity collapses expansion. I'm going to say that again. Rushing clarity collapses expansion. Holding uncertainty magnifies it. And I feel like we can look at it as something outsourced in relationships, but within us, we want clarity. So we try to rush it. But when we can hold the uncertainty, we magnify clarity. It comes naturally. I can feel that in my body. It's quite interesting. Masculine presence stabilizes polarity. When masculine containment is strong, feminine does not have to self-contain excessively. She can soften without leaking. And her desire circulates instead of discharging. So it means attraction stabilizes. Sexual polarity intensifies and relational depth increases. Polarity thrives when both energies are doing their jobs. So masculine containment signals to the feminine nervous system, the field is stable, you can safely expand. When this signal is consistent, feminine energy naturally expresses more, feels more, creates more, and loves more. So when the masculine state is grounded and steady, the feminine response is to soften and open. When the masculine state is calm with their authority, the feminine response is to trust and to receive. When the masculine state is regulated anger, the feminine response is safe expression. When the masculine state is present silence, the feminine response is intuitive flow. The feminine's nervous system mirrors the masculine's capacity to stay. And let's talk about parental wounding real quick. Feminine expansion heals when masculine containment feels like a protective father energy, not controlling and not absent. Masculine containment matures when he no longer seeks emotional regulation from the feminine, and he becomes his own anchor. This dynamic repairs mother-son and father-daughter lineage wounds simultaneously. The feminine expands when the masculine proves, through presence, consistency, and regulation, that intensity will not cause abandonment or control. And here's a good question for the masculine. Can I stay present without fixing, fleeing, or freezing? If yes, containment is holding. If no, expansion will contract. The feminine reveals, the masculine holds. Together, life unfolds. So, in insecure attachment, expansion and containment were split. So, expansion was too much, ignored, or punished, and containment was inconsistent or absent. So, the nervous system learned, if I feel fully, I will lose connection. Repair happens when feeling and holding happen simultaneously. Secure attachment means that this dynamic heals inside of you first. Inner masculine repairs by holding emotions without suppressing, staying present during fear or desire, and creating structure for expression. Inner feminine repairs by expressing without collapsing, feeling without chasing, and trusting containment. And the result is self-soothing replaces self-abandonment. External partners are no longer required to regulate you. Secure attachment is not the absence of intensity. It is the presence of containment during intensity. That is masculine holding feminine. That is how attachment heals. The presence of containment during intensity. It's interesting because I feel like we all long for a love story outside of ourselves. I know it well. I searched my entire life for the love that would complete me. I did. It's my story. It truly is. It's truly my story. From the time I was very young until I realized that it was always me. It was always me. I was always the one that I was looking for. And until we can realize this, recognize this, see this, embody it, know it, feel it, consistently live it, we will be unable to operate healthy in a love story outside of ourselves. It is Sophia Christos. It is Christos Sophia. It is the meshing, the union, the mystery of the wedding concerning Christ and his church. But it's so much deeper than Christianity recognizes, because it's within and it's esoteric, as is all of the teachings of Christ. I'll leave you there. I hope you learned something. I'm sure you did if you're still here at the end of this. And I believe the next episode I will be talking about nervous systems and going in depth with self-regulation. Yeah. So I love you guys. Until the next time, take care.